Underway, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to start pre-sales of the Obama deception today. I'll be done with the film in a few weeks, and it'll be mass-produced and ship out on March 15th, and it'll also be at prisonplanet.tv in super high quality. We're getting amazing response. People are freaking out, wanting it. This doesn't attack him for the Kenya stuff, or is he really a proper U.S. citizen and all that. We're not saying that that's not an issue, just we're not getting into that. We're getting into who he's appointing, what he's doing, his history, the gun control, the open borders, the FEMA camps, how he's controlled by the very Wall Street group that engineered the implosion by design. This film is dynamic. This film is dynamic. I was up here again till midnight last night. I'm working on this tirelessly with my team. The Obama Deception, the ObamaDeception.net is the website, and it's now up on the shopping cart. We haven't linked to it on the main page of Infowars.com or PrisonPlanet.com yet, but why should you pre-order? Well, when you pre-order, the orders come in a stack, and the first person to order is the first person to have it shipped to them by UPS. And it's vital. That's why I usually make a film in 6 months. I make this one in like 3, because I have been racing and racing and racing. But it's just as much quality or more than my other films. We're getting better and better at this. And it's just an unbelievable film. It's obviously dangerous for us to do this. They come after everybody that fights them. But we're telling it like it is. He's a front man for the New World Order. So the Obama Deception is on sale right now at Infowars.com. We've got to get the toll-free line ready to take orders. In fact, let's call them and get that set up. The Obama Deception, $19.95. I want you to make unlimited copies of this and give it out to everybody you know. Going back to Sheriff Richard Mack. Sheriff, there was a story in the San Antonio Express News 2 days ago, and I see these every couple days and don't even cover them. I don't like bashing police. I know in psychology it actually makes them get more into a gang mentality group. I know that most beat cops are good people, good men and women, but I know that these boss hog towns and a lot of these big cities are criminal. I've seen it. And it just talked about all over Texas. Just county after county, they just pull you over and take your watch, take your wallet, under asset forfeiture, no drugs, no nothing found illegal. They rob old ladies. It's all in the news. I mean, it's not just bad cops or bad corrupt systems or violating the Bill of Rights Constitution. We're seeing what happens in Mexico and most other nations. They are just going completely criminal, and they're now recruiting more and more criminals into the police force, the military. We've got to turn this around now, or the whole society will collapse like Mexico.
Well, we do, and we all have a responsibility with this. We're off track in our country. We've forgotten our roots. We have gotten off our constitutional basics. We don't teach fundamentals in the police academies. They do hire people that should not be in there, and I'm grateful too, just as you said, that these are the exceptions and not the norm. But it's happening too much, and we need people to be vigilant. And the price of freedom is eternal vigilance, and we've got to get a handle on all of this. In my first book, the proper role of law enforcement, it addresses that issue, and it addresses how I was converted to the Constitution. And I wasn't born a constitutional cop. It came from looking at my oath of office one day that I swore to uphold and defend the Constitution, but I had never read it, so I started reading it. And I believe that when these fundamental documents come to life for our police officers and peace officers and sheriffs in this country, that they will have the same conversion. I believe, just as you said, that most of these men and women are good people, but they have to be given proper and good information, or they're never going to change. I believe this change is possible, and in my book it addresses that. Like I told you, it documents a large portion of my case that was endorsed by the Supreme Court, and it's a landmark decision, and it needs to be used. And James Madison is quoted again talking about states standing up and counties standing up against the federal government. And it says, hence, a double security arises to the rights of the people. The different governments will control each other at the same time that each will be controlled by itself. That's a quote from Madison, which is in the decision.
Yeah, each binding down the others to the Constitution.
Correct. And so now, this is the only place in the book that it does this. So it says, to the reader, so who is charged with safeguarding the people from the federal government when it refuses to control itself? And then in parentheses it says, police employees write the answer in the space provided, and there's an empty line right there for the reader to put that in there. And you want your sheriff to realize the answer, and there could be several answers. It could be the sheriff, it could be the answer is we are, or the sheriff, or I am.
And that goes into the grand juries, the juries, how they've been made these kept, enslaved, in the dark creatures who are told how to rule and told what to do, when the founders in history and the Magna Carta states, even before that, 1215 in England, that it is the jury that judges the law and the case, and if they think a law is unconstitutional or it's tyranny, or they don't, because back then they knew not to trust the police and the government, that they were even above the king, and our ancestors fought incredible wars to get this basic right, and that's what everything is based on, and now they're abolishing the Magna Carta in England, and crowing and trumpeting they've done this. So, bottom line, if you don't stand up, you will be run over.
Correct. And the overall question, and it asks the question specifically to your sheriff, to your favorite peace officer: will you stand against tyranny? Well, there's only two answers: yes, I will, or no, I won't. If he won't, especially after you give him this information, then you've got to get rid of him, or you've got to move somewhere else. The second one is yes, I will. Then you convince him and show him when and where he should do that.
All right, the book covers that.
We've got to stand behind the sheriff on this.
Final question for you. You know, my life, I was a happy person, but there was this emptiness. And when I studied history and studied what was happening, my life is so fulfilled, so dynamic. It is what you're meant to do. Men are meant to guard their hut, guard their village, guard their county. This is what humans do. I mean, it's the natural law that you become usurped or killed or enslaved if you don't stand up and aren't strong, and if you don't have justice, and that justice is what creates milk and honey and wonderful societies.